All right. So we've looked at several ways that we can have the style sheet here refer to the original document, right? So notice that what CSS is basically is has two parts. The left-hand side, H1, H2, the IDs. As I mentioned earlier, these are selectors, right? Basically, these are mechanisms that this CSS document can refer to portions of the other document. Make sense? It says, go find me all the H1s. Go find me all the H2s. Go find me the only single element whose ID is module list, right? And then the right-hand side says, once you find them, apply these transformations. Convert from wherever you had originally, change them to this other, change these default behaviors, default look and feel. Everybody okay? All right. So there's other ways that I can refer to different things in the HTML. Oftentimes, kind of like the opposite of the ID, where you have a unique identifier that you're talking about a specific element. Sometimes you want to talk about elements in a very generic sense. I want to apply a look and feel to anybody who has the following token. Right? Anybody who has this following token, I want to apply. Right? So for instance, I can apply a generic token by using the class attribute. And I say that these are all webdev module. Right? All these are all modules. There's modules, modules, and modules. Okay. And so since they all have the same token, I can just grab all of them and style them, right? And say that I want some background and some whatnot, right? Now you might say, well, why don't we use just plain old li, right? Yes, we could do that. Although there's a whole bunch of other lis down here that I might not want to style. Yes, maybe I want to style the modules with some light gray, and I want to style the lessons with some dark gray. Yes, and I want to have the same style for all LIs. I want to group together all modules and style them one way, and group all the lessons and style them some other way. Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about divs in a minute. Divs are just generic divisions or groupings of elements that allow you to lay out certain things horizontally or vertically and break them up logically amongst themselves. Yeah, we'll see divs in a minute. So this allows me to kind of like group these three LIs together with this unique token, right? Without talking about other LIs that don't have this class applied to, right? So let's see how we can grab all these three LIs. So the way we refer to these classes, right, is by using the dot notation. The dot notation allows me to refer to elements that have a particular class associated with it, right? In this particular case, I only have that one class module list, so my IDE is helping me out. And I can say that I want to have a background color of maybe light gray. Right, if I do that, I go back, and when I render them, right, notice that only those three LIs now have a light gray. Yes?
So what's the difference between class and ID?
So IDs are only meant for unique identifiers. So I'm only specifically styling or referring to that one element, whereas class allows you to group multiple elements, right, that have the same token applied to it.
So for the ID, I only use it for the unique place.
Yes. Yep. You could decide to only use classes, right, and be very vigilant, right, and very rigorous that that you will apply a class to only one element, right, and treat it as if it were an ID. That's fine. IDs are enforced, right? You'll get some error messages if you try to use the same ID in multiple places, right? They're really meant to be treated as a unique identifier for only that one specific element. Classes are meant to be able to group several elements that have that particular token, okay, and treat them as if they were somehow related to one another. Now, classes, notice that this classes is being applied to the same LI, right? To the same LI, right? These LIs, but classes allow you to apply styles regardless of what type the element is, whether it's LI or something else. So, for instance, I might provide here another class that might be webdev and say bold, okay? And so that class, one of the, before we talk about that, notice that we can apply more than one class to the same element, right? Here we're applying this class, which is giving it a background color, and this webdev bold is going to make the text bold, right? So two different styles are being applied on the same element, right? So let's define our bold here. So let's go here and say, dot bold, and say that the font weight is bold or bolder, right? So if I render that, and notice that indeed that I have module one, notice that it's now bold. See that, right? But classes allow you to apply the same style across multiple types of elements. So for instance, I can say that I can grab another piece of text down here, maybe something here, span some text, right? So typically the some text appears down below, and then I can apply some content, a style to this. I can say class. This is also webdev bold, okay? So if I refresh, notice that it becomes bold. See that? So classes allow me to just apply that style to anybody, right? Not necessarily to just a particular type of element. Just anybody who has that class will be applied that particular style. Make sense? All right, excellent. You can use combinations of classes, right, to make some really cool rules. For instance, I might say that this module 2 is the currently selected module. I can say webdev selected. Okay, and perhaps modules, they highlight differently when they're selected than the lessons when they're selected, or the topics when they're selected. Yes, so each one might have a different style, right? Some of them might render blue background, some of them might render gray background, some of them might render red background when they're selected. Yes, so I can make rules that combine different classes to be very specific about who I'm styling, right? So I can go back to the CSS, and it says I know all modules have a background color of light gray, but if you have a module that also has selected, right? Right. Notice that this is combining two classes. It's saying that if you have the module class and you have the webdev selected class applied to the same elements, notice that there's no space in between these two, right? And the order doesn't matter, right? So if you have this class dot module and you have dot selected, if you have both of them, I want you to apply the following style, right? I want to be the background color to be not light gray, but be dark gray. All right, so if I go back and refresh, notice that indeed module 2 is dark gray, whereas all the other ones are light gray, right? And perhaps that's a way that we show that this particular module is the currently selected module. Make sense? All right, excellent. All right, excellent.